Every year seems to feel shorter than the last, right? Birthdays sneak up on you, months vanish, and before you know it, the years have disappeared. So how do you slow down time? I gave a talk to my team today and I recorded it, and I wanted to share it here because I think you'll find it just as valuable as they did. Slowing down time is not about quitting your job or chasing some big dream. It really comes down to one shift that you can start making today. But if you don't make it, then one day you're gonna wake up and wonder where your life went. What's up, everybody? Today's Vision Wednesday has absolutely nothing to do with business, but in the words of Adam Sandler from The Wedding Singer, I have the microphone, so you have to listen to everything I say. No, I'm just kidding. But I don't really feel like talking about business today. I was trying to think about what do I want to talk about. And the truth is that, I was thinking about this. My birthday was last week. I turned 42, and I'm reaching those ages where it's like I don't really even notice that it's my birthday. Like I normally don't work on my birthday, and I completely forgot to block my calendar off. So I ended up with a full schedule on my birthday. But every year I start thinking about this, and I'm like, every year seems to go faster and faster and faster and faster and faster and faster and faster, So I remember when I was in kindergarten, I remember the first year of kindergarten, that year felt like an eternity. It felt like 5 years long, right? And now I'm like, wow, it's already my birthday again. And I started thinking about this and doing a little bit of research. And one thing that makes a lot of sense is that when you're 5 years old, 1 year is really 20% of your life, right? But I turned 42 last week. So at this point, 1 year is just 2.5% of my life. And the scary thing is I was talking to my dad. My dad's going to be 76 this year. And we were talking about this, and he's like, I was 45 yesterday, which is a little bit of a scary concept, just because time goes so fast. And I've kind of been obsessed with this question of how do you slow down time, right? I mean, my daughter's going to be 13 next week or 2 weeks. And I mean, I still remember when my wife was pregnant with her, right? So it's just crazy how quickly everything goes. And I heard this concept from Jesse Itzler, and he has this cool thing that he does that I actually want to start doing, and I wanted to introduce it to everybody here because I think it would be kind of cool for us all to do it because, one, I think it would just be cool to do, but two, I think it would give us all some inspiration. It would also give me some inspiration, so this is a little selfish on my part. But he has this concept called a misogi, and it's actually not his concept, it's a Japanese concept. And basically what that means is that every year you do one defining thing that's going to define that entire year, right? So maybe you write a book, maybe you start a podcast, maybe you train for a marathon, maybe you do something like that. And when I think back on it, I've had these things happen. I'm sure we've all had these things happen. Like last year, the big year for me was I moved from Florida to Georgia, and just going through the transition of moving from an entire state and meeting new friends and doing all that type of stuff. That's a really, really transformative year. In 2022, the big thing was Bill and I merged Social Firestarter and SMB team, and that was a massive growing year for us, right? In 2021, I wrote a book. I wrote 5-Star Attorney. In 2023, I wrote Law Firm Growth Accelerator, right? So I've done these things that have been year defining, but they haven't been intentional. And what I want to start doing now, and I actually don't really have the thing for 2025 yet. I need to figure out what my thing is for 2025. But one of the things that I challenge everybody to do is find what is that 1 year defining thing that you can do? What is your misogi, right? And what is going to define 2025 for you? And it doesn't have to be work related. In fact, it probably isn't work related, or probably shouldn't be work related, right? Now, the second thing that he does, and I absolutely love this, is every 8 weeks, he does what he calls a mini adventure. Right? And that's doing something that you wouldn't normally do that is memorable. And when you do this, you start breaking up time, because the reason that time goes so fast is because we're in monotony. We do the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And we don't actually have anything that really kind of are these bookmarks that separate one day from another. So when I think back over my life, I think some of my favorite memories are things that were just completely unexpected and completely outside of the norm. So one of my favorite memories when I was 5 years old, I was at summer camp, and I remember my dad just showed up and took me to a Baltimore Orioles game, right? Just picked me up from summer camp, middle of the day, wasn't expecting it. And that's something that he never did before, actually never did it again. But it's such a difference outside the norm that I still remember that, 37 years later, right? I remember when I was in elementary school, another time, my mom, like we were getting ready to go to school, my mom stops like, hey, we're not going to school today. We're going to play hooky and we're going to go to the zoo, right? So just doing things outside of the norm. And I've done this with my kids as well. Like a couple months ago, we did go-kart racing, right? With my wife, my daughter, my son. And it was so much fun. It's something we never really do. Last year, I took my son. My son's a huge Steph Curry fan, and he's also a huge LeBron James fan. So I had an opportunity, and we actually flew out to LA, and we went and watched the Lakers play the Warriors in LA. Like that's something we don't normally do, right? Another time, I remember a couple years ago when I started my business, there was a day that I was working, and I was like, I just don't feel like working today. So I told my wife, I was like, hey, you know what? Let's go to Universal Studios. We're going to Universal Studios today. And we just drove over and went to Universal Studios for the day, right? So it's like, what are these mini adventures? What are the things that you wouldn't normally do? And what you need to do is you need to make sure that you're actually scheduling these things, because when you do these, you're creating these memories that are actually going to make life slow down, and they're going to make life more memorable, right? And I want you to think about this, right? Let's say we all have another 40 years here, right? Well, that's an opportunity for 40 year-defining events. And if you do one every 8 weeks, that's 240 mini adventures that you wouldn't normally do, right? If you do that, then you're going to crush life and you're going to be very, very happy, right? So the key to this is being intentional, right? So your calendar is always going to fill up. You know, your kids have school, you have work, all that type of stuff, right? But why are we doing the work? We're doing the work so that we can enjoy our lives, right? So what we need to do is start being intentional about it. Like, what's that 1 year defining thing you're going to do? And then every 8 weeks, put something on the calendar intentionally. And I actually want to start doing this where I actually build my calendar out a year in advance, where I know every 8 weeks I need to fill this up, and I need to put my mini adventures in here so that I have it blocked off. Because if it's on the calendar, then it will actually happen, right? So I think it'd be really cool to share all this stuff on Slack and inspire everybody if you guys start doing this, and maybe even create a Slack channel if everybody's interested. I don't know. I know there's a music channel going around, but I wanted to talk about this today just because I think it's a really important thing, and I think it's something that would be really cool if everybody started doing this. I know that selfishly I want to start doing this, and I've tried, but I haven't been as intentional as I want to start being. So that's my message today, is figure out what's that 1 year defining thing, and then start being intentional with creating these mini adventures every 8 weeks. And if you do that, I haven't done it yet, but I think it's going to be, I think it'd be a pretty cool outcome. So that's my message for today. Frank, back to you.